Anger towards police isn't necessarily limited to just Ferguson, Missouri, where unarmed teenager Michael Brown was shot by a police officer. We also know a protest is scheduled in New York City this weekend in response to an incident that we told you about here on our air. A man died in police custody after being put in an officer's chokehold. He was being arrested on suspicion of selling cigarettes. Joining me now is Jarvis DeBerry, editorial writer for New Orleans award-winning Times-Picayune. Thanks so much for joining us. Former civil rights leader Joe Hicks is joining me from my former city, Los Angeles. I hope you're staying cool out there. Gentlemen, thank you so much. And I hope we can have a substantive conversation about this. And I know that you might have different feelings, so let's see if we can get this through with a modicum of I don't know, calm. Jarvis, let me start with you. I'm curious about how much of a role, how big of a role you think race plays in anger towards police departments and police officers around the country.
Well, at least in New Orleans, it plays a major part. Department of Justice report released in 2011 said that the New Orleans Police Department in particular routinely stopped people with no cause, that the officers here had no real appreciation for the Constitution and what the parameters were for stopping them. And that is backed up by anecdotes of a lot of people just being routinely harassed, stopped, searched, with nothing that would actually cause suspicion. And so when that happens over and over again and nobody's doing anything about it, I think the anger just builds and builds and builds.
Joe, we've had a chance to read and do some research on your stance of things, and you've argued that police departments are not inherently racist, that it makes sense why they disproportionately target blacks. Speak to that.
Well, first of all, illegal police behavior has to be stopped and curtailed, right. and that's clear. You can't let cops run around and do things that are unconstitutional or mistreat people in communities. On the other hand, if you look at the FBI crime files, it's clear that blacks do commit a disproportionate amount of crime in this country. That's a hard fact that many people don't want to own up to. So I think we have to look at that and understand why many black communities or areas that are predominantly black do draw a great deal of police attention, because there's a great deal of crime, in many cases gang and drug activity taking place there. So of course more activity takes place there. So we have to look at all of these things and not automatically condemn police as being almost in 1940 terms, that we got a bunch of white bigots running around in uniform. That's not the case today, and it's somewhat of a slander to portray police in that kind of light, I think.
Now, Joe, I can't speak to what the crime rate is among African Americans in Ferguson or in St. Louis, but one of the things that has come to light is that we're talking about a town that, by most estimates, is about 2/3 black. Only 3 of the town's 53 police officers are black, and we've been told of a long history of mistrust. Citizens report being harassed by police at minor traffic stops or offenses. If there is this kind of distrust in Ferguson, is that not then a racial issue in and of itself within that community, Joe?
Well, I think we have to look at the number of police, black police that are on that force, and ask, well, so then why does that exist? Have blacks applied and been turned away? Is it discrimination that's causing them to not get hired for those jobs? If that's the case, then now you've got a case that you can make against discrimination in Ferguson. If that's not the case, you can simply say maybe there aren't many blacks that are applying. The turnout rate in elections has been abysmal there in Ferguson. How do you get participation increased in a town like that? But here's, I think, a major point. I think Mr. DeBerry might agree with me. I don't know. But I think one of the things that we have to start doing is saying we need to have facts. And right now, there aren't a terrible amount of facts. We know the autopsy report. We know a few other things. But we got a lot of people running around making comments about what's going on in Ferguson without the benefit of any real facts. That's unfair.
I will give you that, Joe, is that there is a lot of emotion running around. Jarvis, please respond.
I would respond to that by saying we do have plenty of facts to know that the police routinely stop and harass people. The Department of Justice report that I mentioned said that the arrest rates here in New Orleans cannot be attributed to the rates to which people commit crime. In 2009, for example, the police in New Orleans arrested 500 young black boys for crimes and 8 white ones. That's a 62.5 times difference. So that's not about the rate at which people commit crime, and that is a fact. And so, yeah, there are some things that we don't yet know about what happened in the Michael Brown case, but what we do know is that the police routinely stop and harass people, black people, for no cause.
Jarvis, you know, I think all of us are frustrated, and I think we're looking for solutions, and we're looking to answers both on the micro and the macro level. I know also that police departments around the country have for some time been working to increase recruitment of brown and black officers, male and female. What is the solution? How do we build that trust? I've heard from some people that says sending in the National Guard is not going to help, especially in a situation like Ferguson. It's not going to help trust, build trust again in any kind of law enforcement.
Well, I don't think it is as simple as just hiring more black police officers. I don't think it's even as simple as having a black police chief, because some of the biggest atrocities here in New Orleans happened when we had black people in charge, and some of them were carried out by black officers themselves. I think we need a radical reordering of our thinking here in this country and seeing young black people as something other than criminals. And I don't know that we can have that with the drug war still going on. I think we have to re-question this drug war.
You know what, maybe we can pick up this conversation again. I really enjoyed this. I think there's a lot of things that we could still have room to discuss. Jarvis, Joe, thank you so much from New Orleans and Los Angeles, two communities that know very well that you